God bless you, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your busy life and busy day to be at this very, very special moment, very special time. Thank you to Trevor, and thank you to Che and Stacy. Thank you for all that you do. It's an honor to be back with you. What can I say? This is an amazing utilization of technology. We're sharing our information and ideas with each other through the use of technology. Nothing more powerful than technology, and we're just the early stages of it. So I have a task to do. I've been given a limited amount of time. I've got about 45 minutes or so. I want to cover with you the 7 biggest business mistakes we make when networking. But I got to be candid with you. Because of the limited amount of time, I'm going to make this a 2-part presentation. I'm going to do the 7 biggest mistakes that you make when networking in ascending order. In other words, I'm going to start from 7. I'm going to cover number 7, number 6, number 5, and number 4. I'm going to save number 3, 2, and 1 for the great Willie Jolly Changed the World on May the 10th. So I want you to dial back in for Change the World with Willie Jolly, and we'll cover the number 3, 2, and 1 mistakes that we make because we just limit it in time. There's only so much I can tell you, and I don't want to overload you because I want to tell you some stories. I want you to do a couple of little exercises. I want you to take your time. I want you to sit back and relax. I want you to enjoy it and to receive it and to take it in the way and in the manner it's been designed, in the manner which that demonstrates to you that I love you and I respect your ability to grasp ideas that can change your life, okay? For those of you in Los Angeles, know that I'm going to be in Los Angeles April the 10th at the Doubletree by Hilton right near the airport, and so I'll be covering the same topic matter, and I'll be there for a couple of hours, so you'll be able to get the whole thing. So I just wanted to put people on notice. Where do we begin? We begin with number 7. Let me repeat for you the title of the talk today. The title of the talk today, again, the 7 biggest mistakes you make when networking. So let me digress for a moment and define networking for you. Let me put this in some context. Some 20 years ago, I wrote a book called Success Runs in Our Race, The Complete Guide to Effective Networking in the African American Community. And in that book, and hopefully you've read that book, it is a modern day classic. It is required reading in 57 historically Black colleges. It is a book that started the networking conversation in Black America and ultimately started the networking movement. So hopefully you've read this modern day classic. But in that book, I defined networking for the Black community in particular, but the general community in general. And here's what I said. I said, networking is the identification and the building of relationships for the purpose of sharing information, opportunities, and resources. And the emphasis on that definition is on the building of relationships and sharing. Why? Because all of life is about relationships. All of life is about working with and through other people. In fact, there is no success that you can attain, sustain, or maintain on your own by yourself in a vacuum. In fact, the most powerful asset, brothers and sisters, that you will have in the 21st century will not be your computer. I don't care what you've read. I don't care what Trevor and Che has said to you. It will not be your computer. It will be your relationships. Yes, your relationships. Why? Because relationships are the key to building your success. That's really what it is. Your ability to effectively build those networks and to build the relationships necessary to populate your life throughout all the passages of your life really is the unknown secret to success in life. In fact, if you think about it deeply, all entrepreneurship, all job searches, all upward mobility in the public and private sector workplace, all organization building, all community building, all nation building are inherently networking initiatives. that it is your ability to shape the scope of your search for human resources and bring them to bear on your challenges and opportunities in life is what will ultimately determine your level of excellence or success in life. It's all about relationships. And as you grow older and wiser, you will understand that your relationships and your ability to build the networks of relationships that you will need will be more important than your education. Now, I'm not saying that education isn't critically important. Don't get it twisted. Yes, education is powerfully important and critically important, but education in and to itself is not enough. Business. Let's think about business. Most of us who are watching now are in some form of business. Business is about relationships. Without relationships, you have no business. Without relationships, you have no business being in business. In fact, the business we're all really in is in the business of building relationships. That's the business we're really in. What am I saying to you? I'm saying to you, be careful who you associate yourself with. Introduce me to your 5 closest friends. That will tell me who you are. If you're hanging out with 5 broke people, sooner rather than later, you're going to be the 6th broke person. I promise that. If you're hanging out with people, if you're in school or in college who are getting C's and D's, you're going to get C's and D's. Because life is about systems. Everything is a system. If you want to get A's, or if you want to make $250,000 a year, you got to hang out with people who are making $250,000 a year, because obviously they have a system for doing that. You only have a system for making $60,000 a year. So you need to associate yourself with people who have a system, know how to work that system, and are ready, willing, and able to share that with you. So another way to say this is, don't spend major time with minor people. People going nowhere want you to go nowhere with them. People doing nothing want you to do nothing with them. If you want to change your life, change your relationships. Relationships. Now, over the last 30 years, I've crisscrossed the world, certainly crisscrossed America, preaching the gospel of the power and importance of the relationships in our lives. The need for us to connect the dots. The need for us to leverage more effectively our collective resources and intellectual capital. And there's been progress. In 25 years to 30 years since I've been doing it, I've seen incremental progress. I've seen many of us get much better at cultivating and nurturing and building the relationships necessary to take them through the various passages of life. There are about 8 passages in life. Each passage is about 10 years. Let me say that differently. You're a different person at 10 years old than you were at 1. You're a different person at 20 than you were at 10. You're a different person at 30 than you were at 20. Let us pray. You're a different person at 40 than you were at 30. You're a different person at 50 than you were at 40. You're a different person at 60 than you were at 50. You're a different person at 70 than you were at 60. We're constantly evolving, and each evolution is about 10 years. And so there are people that come in and out of our lives over the course of the passages of our life. And that's okay. There's an old saying, and I know you've heard it's very popular, that people come into our life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. So not everybody that comes into our life is for a lifetime. And there are a lot of people in our life. How about most of the people in our life? We really don't want them in our lives for a lifetime. But that's another speech at another time. That's another lecture, another training session another time. I've observed over the course of 25 to 30 years of preaching and evangelizing the gospel of networking some mistakes, pretty serious mistakes that many people make. Not all people. How about most people? Most people make when going about their lives in, quote, effectively networking. So let me begin now by covering those mistakes. And remember, I'm going to do them in ascending order. In other words, I'm going to start with number 7, then go to 6, 5, 4. We're going to end at that, and we're going to pick it up, I just want to remind you, on May the 10th at the Change the World with Wooly Jolly. I'll be there live and in living color, and we'll have time to cover all 7 of them. All right, so let me begin with number 7. Over the last 25 to 30 years, I have given out 37,000 business cards. 37,000 business cards. And I've given them out by request. In other words, I don't give a business card to a person that does not request my business card for one reason or another. And people used to ask me, Dr. Fraser, aren't you afraid of, with your, in quote, popularity and notoriety, that you give out so many business cards that people are going to bug you to death? That you're going to get endless calls and emails, and people are going to make unusual and unreasonable requests, and you're never going to get off the phone, and you're never going to have to stop answering your mail or email. Aren't you afraid of that by giving out every time someone requests your business card? And the answer to that is no. Why? Because I know something that most people don't know. Because I've measured it. Because I've observed it. Because I've experienced it in my nearly 30 years of actively practicing what I preach and teach, is that 99.999% of everyone that I give a business card to will never, ever, ever follow up. And remember, they got a business card from America's networking guru, from, in quote, George Fraser, and they still don't follow up. So what is the 7th biggest mistake you make when networking, most of us? No follow-up. No follow-up. That is the 7th biggest mistake that we make when networking. You can probably hear my phone in the background. I apologize for that. Let me just I'm in a meeting here and turn my phone off. I apologize. There we go. So, no follow-up. Let me repeat that again. No follow-up. 7th biggest mistake. Do you make that mistake? Why don't people follow up? What is it that drives people not to reconnect with a person that they have been impressed with, that they've asked for their business card one way or another? Why don't they do it? Well, there's a whole list of reasons that people don't follow up. Some people ask you to be nice, but they're intimidated. They don't know what to say. They're not good at small talk. They lose your card or misplace your card. So there are a whole bunch of reasons. So what I'm asking you to do today is don't make that mistake. It's one of the fatal mistakes that you make when you invest your time going to places to meet new people, to get the information that will connect you with them, and then you just don't do what you're supposed to do. I was thinking about an incident not long ago. I gave a big speech in Toronto, Canada, for the National Society of Black Engineers. There were 5,000 people in the audience, and I gave a short talk, about 20 minutes, on networking and the importance of networking when seeking job opportunities and business opportunities, and some strategies and tactics for doing that. I got a rousing applause, standing ovation. People loved it. They cheered me on. When I got off the stage, it was like a mosh pit. I had about 500 business cards with me. I had probably a couple of hundred books. I signed the books. Everybody wanted a business card. I gave out all of my business cards, all 500, at this very prestigious event of scientists and engineers. Do you know that I did not receive one follow-up phone call? Not one. Not a day after, not a week after, not 6 months after, not a year after, not 2 years after. Do you know how many times I get calls from companies and institutions looking for young African-American engineers? And they ask me, do I know of anyone? Do I have any resumes in my file? Could I recommend anyone? There probably would have been had at least 2 or 3 people contacted me, I could have immediately, if they were looking for an opportunity, probably immediately connected them to an opportunity. So shame on them. Don't make that mistake. If the person is worthy of asking for their card, follow up. Now, there's a way to follow up. If you have a little bit of fear, if you're a little bit nervous, if you're a little bit intimidated, just simply Google the person. Find out something about the person. Find out who they are, what they have to offer. Find out what they do. Maybe they have hobbies. Find out where they work. I mean, between LinkedIn and Google, you could find out everything you want to know almost about anybody. And somewhere in their resume, there's going to be something that you can connect with, some connecting point, some way that you can initiate the conversation with a bonding kind of comment. Hey, you're from Brooklyn, I see, George. I'm from Brooklyn. Where in Brooklyn were you born? I was born in Bed-Stuy in Jewish Hospital. Oh, my grandmother's from Bed-Stuy. So something that will connect you to that person. All right. So people don't follow up mainly because of fear and intimidation. Right. And they have not prepared themselves. They don't really know what to say. They don't know quite how to say it. It's very simple. If you're prepared, if you Google, if you LinkedIn, some people are well known enough that you can do a little Wikipedia search on them. Okay. So don't make that mistake. That's mistake number 7. No follow-up. The money that costs you, the relationships that costs you, the friendships that costs you are incalculable. You cannot even imagine what you're missing when you don't follow up. Okay? So that's number 7. Now, what is the 6th biggest mistake that we make when networking? I believe it's a poor first impression. Let me repeat that. A poor first impression. And it begins with your introduction. It begins with how you approach people. It begins with what comes out of your mouth in the first few words. You see, what you say to others, brothers and sisters, is a reflection of who they think you are. Let me repeat that for you. What you say to others is a reflection of who they think you are. Why is that? Because while you're speaking, they are thinking and deciding who you are and whether they like you and whether they want to take the next step with you. So what do people think about you initially when you first open your mouth? What is your first impression with your first words? Do you have a proper introduction? Is it something you've thought about, something you've practiced? What's the purpose of a great introduction, or an elevator pitch, as they call it? The purpose is to give people enough information that ultimately they would like to know more about you later on. Not now. No one is interested when they have hors d'oeuvres in their hands or drinks in their hands and there are 200 other people in the room in hearing your life story for the next half hour. So you've got about 15 or 20 seconds to make a good first impression. And that requires crafting the words, thinking about what you want to say to them. So there are 5 elements of a great personal introduction, of a great elevator pitch. So I want you to write them down. I want you to get out a piece of paper and I want you to write these 5 elements down. Here they are. Who you are, where you're from, what you do. Those are the first 3. And that's pretty simple, because if you don't know who you are and where you're from and what you do, then you probably ought not be watching this presentation. You probably need to be taking some sort of medication. So those are the three easy ones. The next two are a little bit more complicated. The next two is, how do you add value? And if you really add value, prove it to me. Quantify your value. Put it in words that you can quantify. So let me repeat that for you. Let me review the 5 elements: who you are, where you're from, what you do, how do you add value, and then prove to me your value. Those are the 5 elements of a great elevator pitch, of a great personal introduction. And remember, you've got 15 to 20 seconds to do that. So you got to do it somewhere within 50 to 70 words. 50 to 70 words. Now you got to think about that. You're going to have to sit down and write out your introduction and craft it so that there are no wasted words. Let me give you my personal introduction. Now, I don't use it all the time this way, just most of the time. And depending on where I am, what event I'm going to, I'll adjust it. I'll tweak it. I'll move some of the parts around a little bit. But let me just give it to you generally. Some of you have heard me say this to you. Hi, I'm George Fraser from Cleveland, Ohio, by way of Brooklyn, New York. I'm the CEO and founder of FraserNet Incorporated. I write books and speak on networking and building effective relationships and economic development. I help people turn acquaintances into friends and contacts into contracts. Over the last 25 years, I've helped over 5,000 people find just the right opportunity and over $500 million in new business. Good to meet you. By the way, that's 71 words, and it takes about 18 seconds to say it. And remember what the goal of a great introduction is. It is to pique the other person's interest so that they will want to know more about you later, that they will ask you for your business card. No, you're not going to shove the business card into their face, but they're going to request it. If someone doesn't ask you, don't give it to them. Okay? So remember that. A great introduction equals a great first impression. Now, part B of a great introduction is your body language, but most importantly, your facial expressions. And the beautiful thing about the face, and great actors know this, is there are 10,000 little tiny muscles in the face. And those muscles can be manipulated and utilized to create innumerable expressions. But the thing that we have to be aware of is, what is the organic or natural state of our face? In other words, when we're not conscious of making an impression with the muscles in our face, and our face is most relaxed in its natural state, what does it communicate? So here's how you can find that out. Tomorrow morning, when you get up, I want you to go into your bathroom, in the privacy of your bathroom. I want you to stand in front of the mirror, and I want you to look into the mirror and put your face in its most natural state. Just allow it to be, right? So I'm going to do that for you right now. I'm going to show you what my face looks like in its most natural state early in the morning. Here's what my face looks like. It isn't very friendly. Now, I've gotten to realize that over time. It's taken me some strength to admit to myself, but my face doesn't look very friendly in its most organic state. So over the years, I've practiced my public face. I have a private face, but I have a public face. And those of you who meet me in the public, whether you come to the conference or various things that I do, you will see me in my public face, which is probably 18 hours a day. But it isn't really any work, because it's now subconscious muscle movement, right? And so what I do is I make sure that when I go out in public, that I put a little smile on. I don't run around like a Cheshire cat, okay? But I put a little smile on. I move my eyes up. I have this little fold in my right near the nose of my bridge, and so unless I do something with that, it can come across as unfriendly. It can come across as communicating to people, stay away from me. I'm closed. I really don't want to be bothered. So you need to practice your face. Put on your face in the morning. I know sisters and women put on their face with their makeup, and that's important too. Men don't wear makeup. We have to shave and we have to do other things to make our face look more pleasant, but there's also muscle movement. So think about how you want to practice what you want your face to look like. Practice this in the mirror in the morning, right? And again, you don't want to go outside looking stupid, but at the same time, you do want to go out into the public with an open and friendly face. It makes a great first impression. The third and final part of the whole notion of making a good impression versus a poor first impression, and I see this mistake all the time. We're having a conversation. The conversation is rich and exciting. I'm interested in the person. They're interested in me. They ask me for a business card. I ask them for a business card, and they don't have a business card. This is crazy. Why would someone go out in public who's a business person and not have a business card, a properly designed business card? So, when people don't have a business card, oftentimes, you may have seen me do this, I carry blank business cards with me to accommodate them. And it's simply a little white piece of index card about the size of the business card with a blank space for name, address, phone number, and email. And it says on there, name, address, phone number, and email. Sometimes I help them out. Sometimes I don't have my little blank business cards with me. I say, well, can you write the information down on something so I can have it? And they'll say, well, sure. I cannot even begin to tell you how many pieces of information I've gotten from people over the past 25 or 30 years on toilet paper. Yes, people have given me their information on toilet paper. Do you know what I do with information on toilet paper? I do what you normally do with stuff on toilet paper. Okay? So, make sure that if you're a business person and you're serious about your business, that you have a well-designed business card, you have a pocket that you keep your business cards in, you have a wallet that you keep your business cards in, make sure that you have a space in the stuff that you carry for emergency business cards. Now, this is my wallet here, okay? And I've had this wallet for about 25 years. I bought it in England. One of the reasons I really loved it is because it had a little place for business cards. But these are my emergency business cards. My standard business cards, if you've ever observed me, always come from my left pocket on my suit jacket. That's my standard business card. And when I get your business card, that always goes into my right pocket on my suit jacket. But if you're a female, you can find one space in your purse for incoming cards and one space in your purse for your own cards or outgoing cards. And then when I run out of business cards in my left pocket, that's where I keep my business cards, I have an emergency backup, right? This has 5 business cards in it. This is for emergencies, right? And then, of course, when you look at my business card, you will notice that my picture is on the business card, so that when people take this back to their place of business, there is my face. So they remember, oh, that's who George Fraser is. You'll also notice on my business card, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a QR code. So anybody that has a QR app, they could just scan the card and it'll take them right to my website. Also, all my social media stuff, of course I got this from Trevor and Che, is right there on the bottom, all right? Also, on my business card, if you have an award or a series of awards, pick one that is most meaningful to you and put the symbol of that award on your business card. This says that somebody has appreciated your excellence other than you. That's great public relations, All right? So put that on your business card. And then, of course, on the back of my card, you will notice that my 4 books are printed there, and the other brands that I've been working on over the last 25 or 30 years, they're on the business card as well. You'll also notice right up here in the corner, right, says 25 years. Now, we've been in business 27 years, but I put this on. This is our 25-year seal. So if you've been in business 5 years or 10 years or 3 years, make a little seal and put it on there. This says that you have some tenure, perhaps some time on the job, some experience, that you've been in business X number of years, and this helps to build trust. So this is a properly designed business card. Now, if you'd like an example or a sample of this business card, I'll be happy to email it to you. And you can use this as a model for designing your future business card. This is a state-of-the-art business card. Now, you will also notice that my business cards are not on that cardstock that has a coating on both sides, right? Many of you have seen those cards. They look nice and they hold up well, but what's the problem with those cards? Tell me, what's the problem? What do you think the problem of having a nice, hard-sided, shiny, both sides card? You can't write anything on them. You can't take notes on them. You can't put any reminders on those cards unless, of course, you have an indelible ink pen, right? So don't use those kinds of cards. What I have is what I call flat, low gloss finish cards, right? They look nice, they look elegant, satin finish, right? But they can be written on with a pencil or a pen, all right? So it's very, very functional. So make a good first impression. Have a well-designed business card. Have a well thought out introduction that says who you are, where you're from, what you do, how do you add value, and then prove it to people. How many years have you been adding value? How many people? How many dollars have you saved? You know, how much have you sold in real estate, and how much have you saved people on the price value of their home? Right? There's any number of ways you can quantify the value in which you add. Right? This is very, very important, because remember, God didn't put us here to make money. He put us here to make a difference and to add real value. And when you make a difference and add real value, you will not be able to get out of the way of money. And that's really what people are listening for when you introduce yourself. One of the things that will make a great first impression. So that's number 6. Now, let's go to number 5. I alluded to this earlier. And the fact of the matter is, most of us do not spend enough time working on cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships at work, at home, and in the community. We just don't. We commissioned the Gallup organization some 6 years ago to do a major study on networking in Black America as compared to networking in white America. It was a national study. Remember, the Gallup organization did it for us. And it came up with some very, very interesting statistics as when you compared the two cultures. White Americans spent, on average, about 34% of their time working on cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships, thus resulting in about 160 well-developed, well-cultivated relationships in their inventory of people that they can refer to, get their time, get their talent, and in some cases, treasure. African Americans spent less than 14% of their time working on cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships. In fact, 47% of the folks in the study, Black folks in the study, said that building relationships was really not that important. What was more important was getting, a wonderful education and being extraordinarily smart and good at what you do. Now, you can't disagree with that. Of course, getting an education and being amazing at what you do is very, very important, but that alone in a vacuum will not get you very far in life. So we spend less than 14% of our time working on cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships. Thus, the average African American has somewhere between 61 and 74 relationships that they've cultivated, nurtured, that they can tap into and get their time and get treasure and get the talent, right? So we have to spend more time working on cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships. And if you'd like to see a copy of that study, I happen to have a copy right here. And so just so you don't think that I'm just blowing smoke here, where's the study? Here's the study right here. Here it is. This is a study. All right, it's an incredible study. And it will tell you a lot about what we do and what we don't do. Okay? So here's what I'm going to suggest to you. I'm going to suggest that you abide by a major study done by Harvard. The Harvard study done, this is about 10 years ago, said that effective people, people who are able to get things done, spend about 14% of their time working on cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships at work, at home, and in the community. But successful people, people at the top rungs of every ladder in America, spend 54% of their time working on cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships at work, at home, and in the community. I spend more than 60% of my time working on cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships. How much time do you spend building your relationships? Have you ever calculated that? What I'd like for you to do later on, not right now, I want you to take a sheet of paper out tonight, and I want you to list your list of your good relationships, relationships that you've cultivated, that you've nurtured. Make a list of those relationships. How many people on that list that you could actually call almost at any time, tap into whatever it is that they know? They'll obviously will call you back, right? They will give you the talent. They will give you the time. How many people like that in your life? How many people do you really have in your life? Right? So make a list, take an inventory, and then make a commitment to doubling the number of rich, I don't mean financially rich, but rich in terms of the experiences that you have together, rich in terms of how you share with each other, rich in terms of the expressions of love that you demonstrate when the time is right. Take an inventory of your relationships. For those of you who've read my books, you know that in each of the three major books that I've written, Success Runs in Our Race, The Complete Guide to Effective Networking in the Black Community, Race for Success, The 10 Best Business Opportunities for Blacks in America, and Click, The 10 Truths for Building Extraordinary Relationships. If you pick up any one of those books, you will notice right at the beginning of each of those books is an alphabetical list of everyone in my network at that time. At that time. So having written Success Runs in Our Race 20 years ago, there is 10 pages in 6-point type, two-sided, of every person that was in my network at that time. It totals to about 3,000 people. And then when 5 years later I wrote Race for Success, I did the same thing, but these were new people. And then when I wrote the book Click, right, some 7 years later, I did the same thing. And these are all new people, no duplicated people. So can you write a list like that? If you can write a list like that, you are spending the time necessary to cultivate, nurture, and to build relationships. So don't make the fifth biggest mistake. You don't spend enough time networking. That's the fifth biggest mistake, okay? Now, you're going to have to divide your time up when you network into cultivating and nurturing three silos of relationships. Three silos. You're going to have to work on throughout all the passages of your life, not just one stage of your life, but all the passages of your life. You're going to have a personal network. These are your close circle of friends. These are the people who know you, love you, cheer you on, hug you, and lift you up. Let's call this your network at home. Extraordinarily important. The network in the community. This is your personal network. Who's in your personal network? Write that down and then make a list over the next week or so of all the close and loving and serving relationships you have in your personal network. Who can you call on? Who are the people that inspire you and cheer you on? Return your phone call on a dime. Who's that? That's network number one. Network number two is what I call your operational network. These are the people that help you to get specific tasks done in life, whether it is the position that you're in your place of business, whether it's the space or place or work that you're doing in your church group or in a volunteer organization or some other initiative that you're working on. These people come in and out of your life. They help you to get that particular task done. They go on to their life, you go on to their life, and you may occasionally get back to them. And some of them you bless and release, and you don't see them anymore. And that's okay. They were there for a particular purpose in your life. This is your operational network, because you're going to be doing all kinds of things in life. There are all kinds of projects, all kinds of initiatives. There are all kinds of groups you're going to be involved in. And as you grow older and wiser, you will understand that each group is part of a team. And what you want to be on is a winning team. And these are the people who are part of the winning team for that particular initiative that you're engaged in at that moment in time. That's your operational network. So who's in your operational network right now? Make a list of the people. Make a list of the projects that you're working on, the things that you're doing, place of business where you work. Who's in those networks? Make a list of those folks. That's your operational network. The final network is your strategic network. These are the people that are smarter than you. These are the people that are where you want to be. These are the people that will drag you into the 21st century kicking, screaming, and crying. These are the people that ultimately are the experts in your life. These are the people that can coach you. These are the people that can mentor you. How many of those people do you have in your network? So the third column you would begin making a list for is your strategic network. Take some time over the next week or so and make a list of your personal network, your operational network, and your strategic network. See where you're the strongest, see where you are the weakest, and work on cultivating, nurturing, and bringing those kinds of people into your life. Okay? To give you the kind of balance and to give you the kind of tools that the human resource tools that you will need to succeed in life. So, spend more time on networking. Again, I spend 60% of my time, and I travel 250 to 300,000 miles a year. But I make sure that the majority of my time is cultivating, nurturing, and building new relationships, bringing new people into my life. Okay? So that is number 5. So we're going to cover the last point for today. And that is that most people that I've met have no networking system. Right? Remember I said earlier, everything is about a system. Do you have a system for networking? Is there something that you do organically and habitually that will force you into the kinds of habits and behaviors necessary to attract people into your life and to cultivate and to nurture relationships that are currently in your life? Do you have a system? I have a system. But someone asked me this question about 10 years ago. They said, Dr. Fraser, what makes you so good at this? How did you become so good at networking? What is it that you do? And I really had to think about it. It took me a week to discern what are really the steps that I organically, habitually, and naturally do. That I do them so organically and so naturally that they are really subconscious behaviors. I don't even think about them. It is not a strategy. We're not talking about tactics here. We're talking about mindset. We're talking about habits. Now, habits first require a new kind of thinking and a new kind of mindset. And then you begin practicing that mindset. And then as you practice that mindset time after time after time, because we know that the key to learning is what? Simplicity and repetition. You got to do it over and over and over. It then becomes a habit. So when someone asked me that question some 10 or 12 years ago, I really had to think about it. I didn't know what actually is it that I do that has allowed me to bring literally thousands of people into my life and to participate in the lives of thousands of people. What is it that I do? So I'm going to give you a little secret that I really haven't talked about very much with people, but I want you to know what my system is. Now, you may want to create your own system, but I can tell you my little system, if you use my system, it's called my system of fives. My system of fives. If you do 5 things times 5 every day, it will be impossible for you to fail. It will be impossible for you not to have one of the most empowering networks of all your friends. And it will be impossible for you not to double your income in 12 to 18 months. It'll be impossible. So here's my system. Here's what I do every single day. Let me repeat that for you. I do this every single day. There is no day I don't do these 5 things. In fact, it's almost like an addiction. My body shakes when I don't do these things. It's a habit. I have to do them. And there's no day that I don't do them. I don't care if it's Christmas. It's 365 days a year. Now imagine doing these 5 things that I'm going to teach you how to do for 365 days a year for 30 years. Imagine the cumulative effect when you have a great networking system. Don't get caught up in no networking system. Have a system. Here's my system. The first thing I do every day is I make 5 notes a day to my network. 5 notes a day. Right? Now, this is it used to be a little bit more difficult when there wasn't the internet, and you had to make personal notes and send out letters and send out postcards, but that's what I used to do. Now with email, it's very simple. See, it's very, very important that you keep and stay in touch with your network, and that you send notes, and that you send emails, and that you send them meaningful material that sort of keeps you and your networks connected. Very, very important. So every single day to somebody, I send at least 5 notes a day. Oftentimes, it's 10 times more than that. Many of you have gotten my notes. You'll also notice how I sign most of my notes, if you've gotten a note from me for one reason or another. You'll notice I always finish it with warmest, comma, G. I don't say Dr. George Fraser. It's always warmest, comma, lowercase g, not even a capital G. And it is a subtle way to communicate to people that I don't feel that I'm above you, that in fact I'm here to serve you. In fact, in many cases, I'm beneath you. It is a conscious show of humility, right? So I'm not caught up on my titles. I'm not even caught up on my accomplishments. It just, it doesn't matter when communicating to people. What I am caught up on is how do I respond to you? How do I serve you? How do I find a way to give something to you, however small it may be today, for those that I choose to communicate with? So, how do you sign your notes? How do you finish them? How often do you send notes? How many do you send a day? Well, that's a part of my system. A minimum of 5 notes to someone in my network every single day. What's the second thing I do? I make 5 phone calls every single day to old friends and family. Yes, 5 phone calls, a minimum. Oftentimes it's double or triple that. But a minimum of 5 phone calls every single day to old friends and family. Keep in touch with your friends and family. Why? Because the human voice, brothers and sisters, conveys an emotion and a passion like no other tool that we have. And as you move up and as you move out, stay connected to your old friends. Don't ever forget where you came from. Your family surely will not allow you to forget where you came from. Stay in touch with old friends and family. Now, certainly, if you're doing 5 phone calls, you have to manage the amount of time, right? You don't want to do this series of exercise or this system and spend 3 hours a day doing this every day. No, no, you have to manage it. Therefore, you have to manage the amount of time that you spend with each person that you call. And so I have a little egg timer. And I typically spend between 3 to 4 minutes with each person, right? So you got to manage that, especially with old friends and especially with family. You got to manage that. And, there are any number of ways that you can, tricks of the trade for managing the time that you spend on calls. We're not going to cover that now. We'll cover that at another time. So that's the second thing I do, right? The third thing I do is I make 5 personal contacts every single day to new friends, people that I receive business cards from. In fact, there would be no one that I've ever received a business card that has not received some communication from me in some form or some way. You go into my database, you go into my propaganda list. Some of you might be even regretting that you gave me a business card because you never stopped getting stuff from me. I apologize for that. But it's my way of serving. It's my way of keeping you informed of the things that we are making available, the things that we're doing, right? So make 5 personal contacts every single day to new friends. This is where you don't fall into that habit of not following up. The business cards that you get, right? You've got to let your new friends know that you care about them, that you're cultivating them as a resource for your life, and you want to be a resource for their life. Okay? So 5 personal contacts every single day. The fourth thing I do every single day is I make 5 sales calls every single day, but I'm not selling anything. I'm just touching base with the person that I've sold something to see how they're doing. See if there's any way that I can serve them. See if there's anything that they need. I don't want my customers to feel as though the only time I talk to them or am interested in them is when I want something from them. The best time to call someone that you sell something to or have sold something to is when you're not asking them for something, right? When you are asking them if there's a way that you can help them, there's a way that you can service them, right? So 5 sales calls every single day, but don't sell anything. It's a wonderful way for cultivating and upselling, ultimately over time, building that relationship that enables you to present a myriad of services and products over an extended period of time, but build a relationship. All right. The final thing that I do every single day And this is key. This is a little bit harder than it sounds, but it's very, very, very important. I make 5 introductions a day of people who need to know each other. Let me repeat that for you. I make 5 introductions every single day of people who need to know each other. Now, this is much easier to do with email. You can do email introductions. I also do 3-way phone calls, right? And I do them randomly. I may be talking to somebody who's very, very important, and we're talking about some subject matter. I said, I know somebody you really ought to talk about this. Let me see if they're in right now, right? And then I have my little smartphone, and I do a 3-way. And sometimes I catch them, sometimes I don't. If I don't catch them, I'll say, listen, I'm on the phone with Bob. I'm on the phone with Trevor Otts. Trevor's really great in social media. I really think you two ought to connect. I'm going to leave you with Trevor. Give him your phone number, and we leave phone numbers, and that's how you do the introduction. So do you make 5 introductions a day of people who need to know each other? We should be doing it. And if you can't do 5, do 1 or 2. Right? There are people in your network. Remember this. There are people that we all have in our network, right? That we may not utilize them for whatever reason or another, but others can utilize them, right? Others can utilize them. There are people that you know that in fact are incredibly resourceful. You know they're resourceful. You know that there are other people that need them and can use them. It is morally and spiritually right to make available to others resources that you have effectively utilized, and vice versa to other people. Don't keep your relationships a secret. Share them. It's the law of abundance. The more you share, the more you give, the more you get. So that was number 4. If you don't use my system, develop your own networking system. Okay? Number 5, spend more time working on cultivating, nurturing, and building relationships. At least 30% of your day should be spent on building relationships. Try to make it 40 or 50. Also, make a good first impression, right? Make sure that your face is in the right place. Make sure you have a smile. Make sure you have a great introduction. And make sure you have some business cards, okay? And then finally, follow up, follow up, follow up. I cannot even begin to tell you how many, literally, millions of dollars, this one thing alone has gotten me. Follow up. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. If you tune in on May the 10th at the Willie Jolly Change the World, I'm really excited about that. I'm going to be there live. I'll give you 3, 2, and 1. 3, 2, and 1. They're all powerful. They're all good. They're all useful. I hope this has been helpful to you. I want to just do a little public self-promotion at this moment in time. I'm only going to take a few seconds. We're finishing a new book that we've been working on. And I've got a new partner, Les Brown. And together, Les and I have joined to do what we call a co-authored book called Mission Unstoppable, Extraordinary Stories of Failures, Blessings. So for the first time, we're coming together to do a book. Now, Les wrote the foreword for Success Runs in Our Race some 20 years ago, but we've never done a book together. So I'm really excited about it. Mission Unstoppable, Extraordinary Stories of Failures, Blessings. We're going to do 35 people in the book, co-authors of the book. I'd like for you, if you're interested in participating in this book, it will cost you something, time, talent, and treasure. Yes, it will. It's an investment. But if you're interested in telling your story, if you're interested in being a part of a best-selling book to take your career, to take your business to a whole nother level, to give you the kind of public relations you can't get anyplace else, to be a published author with 2 brothers who between them have 9 bestsellers. Dr. Randall Pinkett is joining us. He's going to write the foreword for the book, and Susan Taylor is joining us in this project as well. She's going to write the introduction. If you're interested in that, just email me at gfraser@frasernet.com, and I'll send you more information. Just email me at gfraser@frasernet.com. That's the Mission Unstoppable co-authored book project. Introduce it at the Power Networking Conference in June. Second thing is we are a part of a big crowdfunding initiative we've been working on for the past 75 days called the Connect the Dots Movement. And this is our second round of crowdfunding. So just go to connectthedotsmovement.net, connectthedotsmovement.net. We are raising seed capital to build an online web portal for virtual learning targeted to people of African descent. Why? Because we learn differently. We're oral, visual, tactile, kinesthetic, experiential people. So we're going to build a state-of-the-art website with new tools that will give you the kind of learning that you're getting right now. And we're going to partner with, of course, Trey and not Trey, Trevor and Che. We say that all the time. We call them Trey. We just sort of put them together as one. They're almost like two peas in a pod, but Trevor and Che. And then finally, for those of you that want to join us at the Power Networking Conference, June 25th through the 28th in Dallas, Texas, we invite you to be a part of that. We'll make you an offer that you can't refuse. If you're interested in learning more about that, just go to powernetworkingconference.com or just email me. Email me at gfraser@frasernet.com. I'll send you some information. I'll send you the flyers for the Power Networking Conference. And it's, Trevor's going to be there, Jay's going to be there, Stacy's going to be there, a lot of folks that you've seen on this incredible network, and all of these online broadcasts are going to be there. We've got an incredible faculty, and so it's training like you've never seen before. It's training on steroids. It's day classes and night classes. It's power networking during the day, and then we have 8 workshops at night. We call it Power Networking After Dark. So it is insane. It's awesome. And you've never seen a conference like this. And so if you want access and you want proximity to the smartest people on the planet, and you want access to the best brains and the best subject matter and the best training, come to join us at the Power Networking Conference. I'll make you an offer that you can't refuse. I'm not going to talk about it now, but if you email me, I'll make you an offer that is absolutely delectable. I promise you that. So again, I love you all. I just think this is a wonderful way for us to connect, for us to learn from each other, to grow and to prosper, and to remember that the future for us, the future for all of us, will be about learning, earning, and returning back to our community, and reaching down and lifting up, and reaching back and pulling forward. So just remember, it's not about me, it's about we. And that it takes teamwork to make the dream work. I hope you've enjoyed this. We'll see you next time, and add value to someone's life and stay the course. God bless you.